Can you tell us a little bit more, because I know we discussed this in our previous communications, about the different areas in Crete and your recommendations as to somebody who may be looking to move but isn't sure because the island is so big. So I'd love to sort of know more and pick your brain a little bit about different locations that exist and what and yeah, I think that would really help out some of our subscribers and our community of followers who are looking to move.
Well, I think the first thing to know about Crete is it's huge. It's people come and they think like, I'm going to be on an island, and you are an island, but it doesn't feel like one. It doesn't feel like, if you're on Agios or Santorini or Mykonos or like the traditional classic, Greek island experiences, it doesn't feel like that because it's so big. There are places you can get away from the sea and you don't know you're on an island anymore. So it feels very mainland-like, right? Depending on where you go. But if you want it to feel like an island, it can. So the first thing I'll say about Crete is that's my favorite thing. And that is you can pick your experience, right? If you want to feel like you're on an island, there are parts of Crete you can go to and it's very island-like, like you're on a traditional Greek island. If you want to feel like you're in the mountains, you can go to the mountains, right? You can literally scuba dive and ski in the same day. Right, you can go to the beach and you can go up to the mountains and play in the snow in the same day. So that's my favorite thing about Crete is you can kind of pick your experience and you can have it any way you like, and that applies to the cities too. So if you want a big city, you go to Heraklion, right? If you want a small town feel, but still something that has it's not quite a village, still have something that has everything available to you, you can go to Agios Nikolaos. So that's the first thing I'd say about Crete. As for the cities and the areas. There's kind of a big difference between north and south. North is where the highway is, and north is where the major towns and major cities are. South is where all the villages are. It's much smaller, much more traditional Greek, but much prettier, I guess. A lot of people would say, the best beaches are there, the best, the most picturesque scenes are there. So you get this difference between north and south, where it's more cosmopolitan north, I guess, more traditional south. So that's one difference. But then across the north, you got four major areas, right? So you have going from west to east, you've got Chania, Rethymno, Heraklion, and Agios Nikolaos, and very different, like just night and day different between them, and all good. It just depends on what you want your lifestyle to be. So we actually, it was strange for us because we actually targeted Agios Nikolaos. That was our goal, and we landed here. We went straight there to a temporary place, and we were gonna live there, and that we looked for a house there and everything. And fortunately for us, it took so long to find a house, we actually realized we didn't want to be there. And that was really shocking to us. And we actually, it was like kind of traumatic actually, because we were so set on it and then realized like, this is not our place. This is our vacation place. And that was really weird because it was such a great place for vacation, but we started living there, we suddenly realized like this is the wrong place to live. It's the best place for vacation. So, but for us, right? So Agios Nikolaos, it's slower, it's quieter, it's more of a small town. Not everything is available all the time. Sometimes you have to drive to Heraklion an hour away to find something. Like we wanted to find just fitness stuff like protein powders and vitamins. Stuff. We had to drive all the way to Heraklion an hour away to get it. Small town. But I would say this, we plan to retire there. So that's the difference. Like that's where we want to retire, right? But that's not quite where we need to live when you have an 11-year-old son and we have things to do. So Heraklion is like the big city. It's reasonably big, especially for a Greek island, right, or for Greece. And that's the city life, right? So if you want the city life, if that's what's your thing, you go to Heraklion. If you want the village life and you want everything to be picture perfect every time, you go to Agios Nikolaos. I think Heraklion is where a lot of expats go, or a lot of people who first change countries go, because it's so big. It has everything you could need, and it's very cosmopolitan. You always find English speakers. It's a city, right? It's a city, so it's sophisticated enough to support everything that someone from another country would need. That was not good for us. Like it was too big. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks and Three Bears, right? Like Agios Nikolaos was too small, Heraklion was too big. So we kept heading west. Rethymno is next as you go west. Rethymno is okay. We didn't really consider it that much. It just because to me, Rethymno is like it's like halfway. It's physically halfway between Heraklion and Chania, which is the next town over, and it feels halfway between two. And we got out to Chania, which is the farthest west, the second largest city. That's where we found what we wanted. It was everything we wanted. It was just big enough to support everything, but it's still got a small town feel. It's very cosmopolitan still, but it's very easy to get lost in traditional Greece if you want to. It's also very easy to find all the facilities you need, right? That like everything's here, right? All the gyms are here and the stores are here and the sophistication is here. But you can also take one step outside of Chania and you can be in like Greece, like traditional Greece. And that's where we found it was perfect for us. And the beaches out here are amazing. So I don't know, I probably talked too long about that. I don't know if I wandered in my thoughts too much, but
no, absolutely not. We have plenty of time anyway, but that was really helpful. Is there anything off the top of your head, another area that you would recommend besides Chania, Rethymno, and Heraklion?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you want. I would say for most people, especially if you don't speak Greek, you really have to go to Chania or Heraklion. If you don't speak Greek and it's your first time, and especially if you're not really experienced at moving to another country, like there's some people I know, like, they move here and it's their 10th move, internationally, right? So for those kind of people, they have the experience, nothing matters, they can handle it all, right? But if this is your first foray into this, and you're thinking about a Greek island, you want Crete, it's got to be Heraklion or Chania, because the English is there, the support is there, the government offices you need, all the stores you need, like everything is there. One of those two, Heraklion or Chania, right? And between those two, you just sort of look at it and go like, do you want the real big city experience? Go to Heraklion. Do you want sort of a blend of traditional Greek and city? You go to Chania. Okay, so I would say those are the two. If you're not comfortable with Greek, and if you're not really comfortable in a foreign country yet, I'd say something like Agios Nikolaos or anything smaller is really not a good idea for a first run, because it's too far. It goes too far into Greek life and just Greeks. And you gotta remember. So one of the things that kind of shocked us about Agios Nikolaos, we never saw it in the winter until a few months ago, and there's nothing open. I mean, like, there's just nothing there, right? So if you go to anything smaller than Chania or Heraklion, what happens is in the winter, you got 6 months of 80% of the town is shut down, right? But in Heraklion and Chania, nothing shuts down, right? So it's more of a natural life for someone who's coming in from another country. So definitely, I would say the two bigger cities and pick what your lifestyle is between them. But I don't know, if you really want the village life, I'd say go south, right? Like if you really want to live the village life and like just hang out with Greeks all summer or all winter, all year, actually, just head south.
Have you noticed something specifically that is, let's say, Cretan? I think that's the adjective, like from Crete, in terms of like lifestyle or mindset, like something particularly local that you wouldn't find elsewhere in Greece?
Cretan is it's like a lot of regions in the world, right? It's like if you're in the United States, like New England has a feel, right? Or the deep South has a feel. California has a feel. Same thing. Crete's its own place. The dialect is different. Although if you don't speak Greek, you wouldn't notice the difference, right? The dialect is different. And the approach to a lot of life is different. It's very much the split between, say, mainland Athens or Thessaloniki, which are very cosmopolitan, like very urban, versus like the islands, which are very laid back and very, very Greek, right? And Crete is right in the middle between those two. So they're very solidly, like, they're cosmopolitan, they're urban, just to a point.
I was going to ask you about, in Crete specifically, how do you make friends as an expat? So you've just moved there, it's your, let's say, your first month. Like, how do you go about meeting people? And did you have any difficulties? Because I know you were in the small town of Agios Nikolaos, and it was, everything was closed in the winter. How did you go about meeting people?
In Agios Nikolaos, it turned out to be impossible. And that was one of the reasons that we decided it wasn't for us right now, because like there was just nothing we could do. And we tried online, we tried various sites, we tried going places, we enrolled our son into swimming lessons, that we tried to associate there. It's just not possible. It's too small of a town, and it's very close knit, and it's weird to say this, but like everybody's got their friends already. Everybody's kind of established, and there are very few expats. Okay, like very few, right? So that was the problem at Nikolaos. Like Now, that's my favorite place in the entire world, right? And I plan to like retire there, but it just wasn't right for this move, right? Now to answer your question, Chania, it actually wasn't difficult. Two things happened. My wife just got on Facebook, right? She got into various Facebook groups, and she just said, "Hey, I've got a kid. He's 11 years old, and he needs someone to play with and hang out with." And from that, my kid's like new best friend is a Belgian born and raised Turk, and he also has two really good friends that are Greek American. They're actually born here, but their parents are American, and they speak English like Americans. They actually don't speak Greek that well, even though they were born here. He's also got another friend who's Russian. So it was very quick. Like as soon as we said, "Hey, we have a kid and we need some friends," within a week we were doing stuff. So that was pretty easy. And the difference is Chania has expats, right? And they're all over, right? So you can find other people in your circumstance very quickly, okay? And from that, one of the people we talked to, they're Greek. Like they were born in the United States, but they're Greek. I mean, like me, right? But they've been here 11 years. And now through them that we've met other Greek people, and then it just kind of went from there. So that was one avenue. The other avenue, which I don't know if applies to a lot of people, is since I'm Greek and I speak Greek, it's very easy for me to like talk to somebody at the gym or talk to somebody like someplace and just meet somebody, right? And just say, "Hey, like, you want to go for a coffee later?" Or just, or whatever. So that's also happened. We've met a few people that way. But online groups in Iraklio and Chania, we've talked to people, and that doesn't seem to work outside of those two areas.